The atmosphere in the cafe was a cozy blend of espresso scents and hushed conversations. John Reynolds sipped his coffee, his mind whirring with stress about bills, rent, and the increasingly daunting pile of debt he seemed unable to shrink. The last thing he expected was an offer that could change his life, or at least his bank account. Sitting across from him was someone, or something, out of a science fiction novel. Lyla, as she introduced herself, looked human enough if one overlooked the subtle shimmer of her skin and the faint glow of her eyes. She had explained that she was from Veylar, a distant planet known to few on Earth, and she needed help. "Let me get this straight," John said, setting his cup down. "You want to pay me to pretend to be your husband?" Lyla nodded, her eyes scanning the room with a hint of nervousness. "Yes, it's imperative for my political position. A married princess is viewed as more stable, more credible. And—" she hesitated, looking out the window at the bustling cityscape. "And? My family is pushing for a political alliance with a neighboring system through marriage. I need to buy time to negotiate on my terms." John leaned back, processing the information. "And why me?" "You are, by human standards, unremarkable. Average height, average looks, no significant ties to your own government. You won't attract unwanted attention. Plus," she smiled faintly, "you look kind enough." John chuckled, not sure if he should be offended or flattered. "And the pay?" Lyla slid a tablet across the table. $100,000 now and another 100,000 after a year. Or when the contract ends, whichever comes first. The numbers on the screen made John's head spin. It was more money than he'd ever seen. It could wipe his slate clean, give him a fresh start. He could pay off every debt, move to a better place, maybe even go back to school. The possibilities were endless and terrifying. "Why so much?" he asked, suspicion narrowing his eyes. "Because it's not just attending events. You'll need to live on Veylar for the duration. You'll learn our customs, participate in some of our traditions, and you must convince everyone that our marriage is genuine." John thought about his nondescript life, his small apartment, his few friends, the family he rarely saw. There was nothing holding him here, nothing but fear of the unknown. "What about the danger?" he asked. "If this is as political as you say it is, there could be risks." Lyla's gaze was steady. "You will be protected at all times. My personal guards will ensure your safety." He took a deep breath. The adventure, the escape from his mundane struggles, the money, it was all wildly appealing in a way he hadn't expected. "When do we start?" Lyla's face lit up with relief and a hint of excitement. "As soon as you're ready. There's a ship prepared to leave for Veylar in 2 days." John nodded, still a part of him wondering if this was a dream or a very elaborate scam. But then, what did he have to lose that was more valuable than what he had to gain? "I'm in," he said, shaking her hand, the shimmer of her skin cool and smooth against his. As they left the cafe together, a new chapter of John's life began, filled with alien worlds, royal intrigue, and the facade of a marriage that might become all too real in the vastness of the cosmos. Lyla's ship, the Celestial Harmony, was a masterpiece of Veylaran technology, blending elegance with efficiency. As it cruised through the stars, John found himself glued to the viewport, mesmerized by the cosmic ballet outside. Lyla stood beside him, her eyes reflecting the starlight. "The journey will take approximately 3 Earth days," Lyla explained. "We'll use this time to prepare you for life on Veylar." John nodded, turning from the view to face her. "What should I expect? I mean, how different is it?" "Veylar is advanced more so than Earth. Our society values harmony, knowledge, and the arts, but it is also rigid, structured by ancient traditions and strict social codes." Over the next 3 days, John was immersed in an intense crash course on Veylaran culture. He learned their language, which flowed like music and was as complex as any earthly counterpart. He practiced customs, from dining etiquette, never touch food with your left hand, to the polite way to greet someone of a higher social status, which involved a complicated series of hand gestures. Lyla proved to be a patient teacher, correcting his pronunciation gently and demonstrating customs with grace. Yet beneath her calm exterior, John noticed a current of tension, a wariness that tightened her shoulders whenever they discussed her home planet. As they approached Veylar, the ship descending through the atmosphere, Lyla turned to John with a serious expression. "Remember, from the moment we land, we are husband and wife to all who ask." The ship landed smoothly in the capital city of Solari, a place that looked like it had been sculpted from glass and light. Buildings shimmered under the twin suns, their surfaces a mosaic of reflective panels and lush greenery. The air was crisp, tinged with a scent John couldn't place but found oddly comforting. They were greeted by a delegation of officials and guards, all dressed in flowing robes of subtle colors that seemed to shift with their movements. Lyla introduced John with flawless decorum, her voice steady, her hand resting lightly on his arm, a touch meant to signify their bond. One of the officials, a tall figure with piercing blue eyes, studied John closely. "We welcome you, John of Earth, to Veylar. May your union with our princess bring stability and joy to both your worlds." John replied with the greeting Lyla had taught him, hoping his accent didn't butcher the language too badly. The official nodded, seemingly satisfied, and they proceeded to the royal palace. The palace was a marvel, sprawling gardens intermingling with soaring spires. Inside, the decor was a blend of high technology and art, with holograms displaying scenes of Veylaran history beside ancient statues. That night, as they dined alone in a small, opulent dining room, Lyla's demeanor shifted. The formality melted away, leaving her looking tired and a bit vulnerable. "It's been a long time since I've been able to just talk," she admitted. "With you, I feel like I can breathe." John listened, offering a smile. "Well, I'm here to help in any way I can." "Thank you, John, truly," she said, her gaze lingering on him a moment longer than necessary before she turned her attention back to her meal. As John lay in his bed that night, in a room that overlooked the illuminated city, he realized this mission was about far more than pretending. It was about supporting someone who was shouldering the weight of a world. And perhaps, just perhaps, it was about finding a new place for himself in the universe. Adjusting to life on Veylar was like living in a meticulously choreographed dance, each step measured, each gesture laden with meaning. John quickly learned that his every action was scrutinized, not just by Lyla's family and the palace staff, but by the public as well. News of the Earthling prince consort had spread rapidly, and his presence was met with a mix of curiosity and skepticism. As days turned into weeks, John accompanied Lyla to various cultural and political events, his role ever expanding from mere figurehead to an active participant in small but significant diplomatic discussions. The Veylarans, he discovered, respected intellect and insight, regardless of its origin. When he offered thoughtful opinions, especially about technology and Earth's environmental conservation efforts, his words were met with genuine interest. Meanwhile, Lyla's teachings continued in private. One evening, in the quiet confines of the palace library, she introduced him to the concept of Sci-Fi, a Veylaran mental discipline that enhanced emotional regulation and decision-making. "It's essential for someone in my position," she explained, her fingers tracing the spines of ancient texts. "And it might help you too, understanding our ways." Under her guidance, John practiced Sci-Fi, finding it strangely soothing, a way to clear his mind and sharpen his focus. The sessions often ended with them discussing their lives before their contractual marriage, drawing them closer, weaving threads of genuine friendship. On a cool evening, as they walked through the palace gardens illuminated by bioluminescent plants, Lyla paused by a silver-leaved tree, its leaves shimmering under Veylar's moons. "There's something I haven't told you," she said, her voice a whisper against the symphony of rustling leaves. "What's that?" John asked, his interest piqued by her sudden seriousness. "My opposition isn't just political. There are those who believe that merging our customs with human ones, even superficially through our arrangement, is a threat to our purity as a species." John absorbed this, the weight of her words sinking in. "A threat? Are you saying there's actual danger?" "Possibly," she admitted, looking up at the starlit sky. "But we have precautions in place. Still, it's why I'm grateful for your openness and adaptability. It makes all the difference." Their conversations often lingered on the themes of change and integration. Lyla was a visionary, John realized, someone who saw potential in the blending of cultures. But her path was fraught with challenges, some possibly dangerous. During one ceremonial event, a grand affair attended by various planetary dignitaries, a disruptive incident occurred. A minor noble, outspoken in his disdain for Earth, publicly challenged John, questioning his qualifications and his intentions on Veylar. The room fell silent, all eyes on the unfolding drama. John, recalling his training in Sci-Fi, responded not with anger, but with calm precision. "My intention," he stated clearly, his voice steady, "is to support Princess Lyla and learn from your esteemed culture. I am here to build bridges, not barriers." His response, measured and respectful, earned him nods of approval from many in the crowd, including a few reluctant ones from skeptics. Lyla's smile, barely noticeable but deeply meaningful, told him he had done well. That night, back in the safety of the palace, Lyla's expression was one of relief mixed with newfound respect. "You handled that better than I could have hoped," she said. "You're not just playing a part anymore, John. You're really here, making a difference." In the quiet of the palace, amid the echoes of ancient walls and the whispers of a changing future, John realized his role here was more profound than he had ever imagined. As he adapted to his new life, he wasn't just acting as a consort. He was becoming a catalyst for change, a bridge between two worlds. In the weeks that followed, John's integration into Veylaran society deepened. His daily routine expanded beyond mere appearances at public events to active participation in the governmental councils under Lyla's guidance. His unique perspective as an Earthling, once a novelty, began to be sought after, especially in discussions on environmental technology and interplanetary relations. Meanwhile, the bond between John and Lyla strengthened. Their evenings spent in the library or walking the luminescent pathways of the gardens became a cherished ritual. During these moments, they shared thoughts on politics, philosophy, and sometimes the vulnerabilities of being thrust into roles shaped by duty. One night, as they sat beside a reflecting pool, watching the twin moons cast silvery ripples across the water, Lyla turned to John with a concern that had been troubling her. "There's a faction within the council, led by Minister Kale, who are pushing for an alliance with the Draxians. They are a powerful species, but their ethics in trade and war are questionable." John listened intently as Lyla outlined the political complexities. "And where do you stand?" "I'm wary," she admitted. "Aligning with the Draxians might bring us short-term gains, but at the cost of our principles. I want to explore other options, perhaps even open talks with Earth, but I need more support." Realizing the gravity of the situation, John suggested, "Maybe we could arrange a summit, invite representatives from Earth to discuss potential alliances. It would give you more leverage against the Draxian proposal." Lyla considered this, her eyes reflecting the moon's glow. "That could work. If we showcase our willingness to embrace diverse alliances, it might sway more council members to our side." The planning for the summit gave John a new sense of purpose. He worked closely with Lyla's advisors, combining his knowledge of Earth with what he had learned about Veylar. As plans progressed, excitement within the palace grew, mingled with a palpable tension over the political maneuvering it entailed. On the day of the summit, representatives from Earth arrived, their ship descending gracefully onto Veylar's main landing platform. John felt a surge of pride and anxiety as he greeted them, now not just as an Earthling, but as a representative of Veylar. The discussions that followed were intense, with John often bridging gaps in understanding between the two cultures. However, the summit also drew unwanted attention. During a break in the negotiations, an urgent message reached Lyla. Minister Kale had rallied his supporters, planning to use the summit as proof that Lyla was prioritizing Earth over potential stronger allies like the Draxians. Lyla and John convened an emergency meeting with both Earth and Veylaran delegates. "We face a crucial choice," Lyla addressed the room. "We can either bow to pressure and take the easy path with Draxians, or we can forge a new path, one based on shared values and mutual respect with Earth." John watched as Lyla spoke with a fervor he had come to admire deeply. Her words, impassioned and clear, seemed to resonate with everyone present. The meeting ended with a tentative agreement to pursue deeper discussions, a significant victory against the opposition. That evening, as they returned to the palace, Lyla's relief was evident. "Today we didn't just talk about alliances. We stood up for what Veylar can be," she said, a soft smile playing on her lips. John felt a warmth spread through him, a mix of affection and admiration for the woman beside him. Under the night sky of Veylar, amid the songs of alien cicadas, it became clear that their partnership had grown into something neither had anticipated. It was a partnership forged not just in duty, but in a shared vision for the future, a future they were now determined to shape together. As the political landscape of Veylar shifted subtly in the wake of the summit, the opposition, led by Minister Kale, grew more cunning and determined. John, now well-versed in Veylaran politics, worked alongside Lyla to solidify the new alliances they had proposed, ensuring that every step they took was both strategic and beneficial to Veylar's long-term interests. Their efforts were not without challenges. Minister Kale, sensing his influence waning, launched a series of public campaigns questioning Lyla's decisions and John's influence as an outsider. The media, ever eager for a scandal, amplified these sentiments, casting a shadow of doubt over their leadership. Lyla, however, remained undeterred. "We must be proactive," she asserted during one of their strategy sessions. "We can't let Kale's narrative define our actions." She proposed an initiative to improve the technological infrastructure of Veylar, leveraging Earth's advanced renewable energy solutions, a project that would visibly demonstrate the benefits of their Earth alliance and undermine Kale's criticisms. John took the lead in organizing demonstrations of Earth technology, presenting them to Veylar's citizens and council members. His presentations were clear and persuasive, showcasing how Earth's technologies could be adapted to benefit Veylar without compromising their values or autonomy. As the project gained traction, so did public opinion. People began to see the tangible advantages of the alliance with Earth, and the fear of external influence started to wane. However, this shift did not sit well with Kale, who escalated his tactics, spreading rumors of a secret deal that supposedly compromised Veylar's sovereignty. To counteract these accusations, Lyla decided to take a bold step. She organized a broadcast, inviting the entire planet to participate in a live discussion forum where she addressed concerns, explained policies, and shared her vision for Veylar's future. John stood by her side, his presence a silent testament to their united front. During the broadcast, Lyla was eloquent and transparent, her sincerity resonating with many. She took questions directly from citizens, answering them with a candor that hadn't been seen in Veylaran politics for generations. John contributed too, discussing the technical aspects and ensuring that the benefits were clearly understood. The broadcast marked a turning point. Support for Lyla surged, and even some of Kale's supporters began to question their stance. In the weeks that followed, Kale's influence continued to diminish, and the tide of public opinion turned decisively in favor of Lyla and her initiatives. Amid these turbulent times, the relationship between John and Lyla deepened further. They found comfort and strength in each other, their bond fortified not just by political alliance, but by mutual respect and affection. Late one evening, as they walked through the palace's lower gardens, Lyla stopped under the canopy of a glowing tree, its light casting ethereal patterns on the ground. "I never imagined when we first met that we would come to mean so much to each other," Lyla confessed, her voice soft. "Not just as allies, but as more." John reached for her hand, his heart beating with a mix of anticipation and certainty. "Neither did I," he admitted, "but I wouldn't change a single thing." In the quiet of the garden, under the watchful gaze of Veylar's moons, they shared a moment that transcended the complexities of their circumstances, a moment defined by a profound connection that promised to endure whatever challenges lay ahead. With Minister Kale's influence waning and public support growing, Lyla and John continued to navigate the complexities of their roles with a renewed sense of purpose and confidence. The technological initiatives that John had championed were now in full swing, visibly improving the lives of Veylar's citizens. This tangible progress helped solidify the Earth-Veylar alliance, making it a topic of pride rather than contention. However, the shadow of opposition never fully disappeared. Kale, although weakened, still harbored a deep resentment, and remained a symbol for the conservative faction that opposed too much change. Aware of the lingering threat, Lyla and John remained vigilant, strengthening their political alliances, and continuing to engage with the populace to maintain and build their support. As the anniversary of John's arrival on Veylar approached, Lyla proposed a celebration to mark the occasion, a symbol of successful integration and cooperation. The event would also serve as a showcase for all the collaborative projects between Earth and Veylar. Invitations were sent far and wide, including to Earth representatives and other allied planets. On the day of the celebration, the palace grounds were transformed. Displays of technology, art, and culture from both Earth and Veylar filled the halls and gardens, illustrating the symbiotic relationship that had flourished over the past year. The atmosphere was festive, with a sense of excitement and hope palpable in the air. John, dressed in a blend of Earth and Veylaran attire, stood beside Lyla as they greeted guests from across the galaxy. His family from Earth, seeing him in this new world and role, were visibly moved and proud of what he had achieved. As the celebration continued, Lyla took to the stage to give a speech. She spoke eloquently about the journey of the past year, the challenges they had faced, and the victories they had won together. She thanked John for his dedication and bravery, calling him not only a partner in governance, but a dear friend who had become essential to her and to Veylar. The crowd erupted in applause, their acceptance and warmth filling the air. As the clapping died down, an unexpected figure pushed through the crowd, Minister Kale. Tension gripped the audience as he stepped forward, his expression unreadable. Kale stood before John and Lyla, and in a surprising turn, he extended his hand. "I have been a critic, a vocal opponent," he began, his voice carrying across the silent crowd. "But I cannot ignore the progress and unity I see before me today. It is time for old grievances to give way to new hopes." His concession was met with stunned silence. Then slowly, as the significance of the moment settled, the crowd began to applaud, louder and more vigorously than before. Kale's public acknowledgement of their success was the final endorsement they needed. The celebration that night was more than just a ceremony. It was a declaration of a new era for Veylar, one of openness, innovation, and collaboration. As fireworks lit up the night sky, John and Lyla stood side by side, watching the colors burst in brilliant patterns above them. Later, as the guests departed and the lights dimmed, Lyla and John found themselves alone in the garden, the site of many previous conversations that had shaped their bond. "We've done something incredible, haven't we?" John asked, looking over at Lyla. "We have," she agreed, her eyes reflecting the night sky. "And we will continue to do so." Their partnership, forged in necessity but deepened through genuine connection, had not only changed their lives, but had also altered the course of an entire planet. As they walked back towards the palace, their hands found each other, a silent affirmation of their shared path forward, whatever it might bring.